Hello folks, and welcome back to SLE Equipment here in Nashville, Tennessee. Today we're doing the instructional video on this 8.5 by 14 custom concession wood grain trailer. A little different look here. Alright, first we're going to start with the power source. So whether you're running off the generator, as you can see one mounted on the front there, or shore power, please ensure that that power source is turned off before plugging in your power cord. Alright, just rather safe than sorry. It is a 240 volt system, so we don't want to see anyone get hurt. All right, first up, so let's talk about plugging in. So you're going to line up your notches on your cord here, plug in, twist it to the right as it is a twist lock, and then you're going to turn this little collar here, tighten that down just to make sure that's good in place. And then plug in your other end. If you're plugging into the generator, you're going to plug in right here to the 50 amp hookup, or if you're using shore power, plug into that. At that point, then you're good to go ahead and turn on your power source. So for our purposes today, we are running off of our supplied shore power, but I will demonstrate this generator here for you. So on this generator, first thing you're going to do, come here, turn the main switch on, turn your fuel to the first on position. This is your primary on. The second on position down here, that's your choke. Make sure your low idle is off. Make sure your breaker is down. And now you're ready to start it. So you're just going to push and hold this for a couple of seconds. Oh, not long enough. Oh, I turned that off. Just turn that on. Power helps. Push and hold for a couple of seconds, let off. There we go. Up and running. This is high idle, so once you plug into it, you've got everything running. The other thing you need to make sure is that this switch here is depressed down to the 120/240. If it's in the up position, that's 120 only. So anything that runs off the 240 in this unit would not run if you're on the 120 only. Alright. So once you got everything going, if you want to switch it to low idle, save a little fuel, you can do that. So this is a little quieter generator. It's not as loud. Now we're going to go ahead and turn it off. So same thing to turn it off, just press and hold for a couple of seconds and then release the button and it'll shut off. And then you're just going to turn your fuel off, switch low idle back to the off position, and then turn your main switch off. All right, pretty simple operation there. Next up, we have the 36 by 36 access door to the V-nose. Take a look inside here. As you can see here, we have the 14-pound grease trap, the 30-gallon freshwater tank, all the plumbing, of course, 6-gallon water heater here, and then right back there in the corner is the water pump. It is a 12-volt water pump, just for informational purposes there. Here you have the power cord to the unit, the speed crank handle for the stabilizer jacks. We'll go over those here in a minute. Inside this box is just a few extra accessories for the generator. And then up here we have the electric panel. Right below that is the inverter. So that will, anytime the unit is plugged into a power source, that inverter is charging the 12-volt battery there inside the box. And then next to the inverter here, over there, that's the 12-volt fuse panel. You can see there's 4 fuses in there, 2 extras in the top. And that has lights on it next to those fuses, so if something's not working on the 12-volt system, which is just going to be your interior and exterior LED lights and your water pump, if one of those items is not working and the battery is charged, check the fuse panel there. If you have a light on next to one of the fuses, that indicates that the fuse is blown. All right, we'll move on around here. Over here we have on the driver's side, we have the city water access door. Open that. Here's the fill for the freshwater tank, so just insert your hose here, fill the tank. When you're done, remove your hose, replace your cap. All right, this one here is for the pressurized system, so if you have access to water, to pressurized water, you can hook a hose here. This is a common garden hose, water hose fitting. It does have a screen filter on it, and that will, if you're hooked up here, that will bypass the freshwater tank, supply water directly to the faucets and the water heater itself. All right, and then the key for this access door will be around the faucet inside the unit. All right, down here on the front driver's side corner, we have the first of 4 stabilizer jacks, and these jacks are just that, stabilizing only. Please do not try to lift the trailer for leveling purposes with that jack. If you do, you will bend the jack and potentially bend your frame. All right, so any leveling needs to be done via the tongue on the front of the tongue, or the jack on the front of the tongue, sorry, and using blocks underneath the wheels here, okay? All right, moving on around here, we have the drain for the waste tank. So this is a common water hose fitting right here. You can remove that cap and connect to that, or you can remove the bigger cap here. That's a 3-inch, and you can get a 3-inch hose at any RV and camper supply center. Once you've removed your cap and attached your hose, simply grab your handle, push it out to the side there, allow the contents to drain. Once complete, push that handle back into the closed position like you see it now, remove your hose and replace your cap. All right, coming on around here, we have the 2 3,500-pound axles with steel wheels. And this trailer, I should mention, does have the blackout package, so hence the black wheels, black trim. One thing I want to note on these wheels is in the center here, this little rubber piece in the center of the cap, that does come out. There's a grease fitting in behind there. Once every 10,000 miles or 12 months, whichever comes first, you'll need to go to each wheel. So both on this side, both on the passenger side, remove that cap, connect a grease gun to it, grease that fitting or that joint properly. That way it keeps the bearings and hubs in proper working order, okay? And then at the back here, we have another stabilizer jack there. And I'll give you a side view of the back and the side there. All right, and then coming on around the back, you can see the 2 propane cages on the back with 100-pound propane tanks in it, the regulators and hoses hooked up, LED light above the entry door, license plate holder to the top left corner up here, and then 36 by 78 entry door, RV style with the window in it. And this does have a screen door on it as well, so I'll go ahead and show you that. All right, sorry about that. Had to make a small adjustment right quick here to the little lever back there. So push the button, that releases the screen door. And I'll give you a look at that screen door there. All right, and it does have this little panel here that slides in so that if you have the door open and just the screen door shut, you can keep bugs out. And if you're inside with the door shut, you can open that so that you can reach the handle. All right. And we'll go back over more on that here in just a few minutes. All right. Coming on around to this side. There you can see the side here. So down here we have the rear passenger side stabilizer jack. And then the 2 tires here, again, same black cap, and the center there, just a little rubber cap need to remove there. Then we have the 4-foot concession window LED lights on either side above with the flip up counter. Quick thing I want to show you here, each window, each side has one piece of glass on the outside, and then there's one on the inside as well, and then the screen right there. You can see the little handle on the inside to lift the screen. So you have that on both sides. And then the flip up counter, same wood grain on the outside of it. To lower this, just push one latch in there, second latch in there, and then lower down. Just to show you, that's pretty simple. You can do it with one hand there. And then the wood grain on the outside of the flip up there for the concession window as well. And then down here we have the front passenger side stabilizer jack. All right, next thing we're gonna go over is the gas propane system on this unit here. So first thing we want to do, open our concession window, make sure that the windows are up. You can have the screens closed, but we need to allow airflow there. Then we're going to come around and go inside the unit. So I do already have the gas lit, but there are steps that we want to make sure we go over here. All right, so once you're inside the unit, you're simply going to come down here to the light switch you see here, flip it up. That's going to turn on the grease hood. And it is a 72-inch long, 42-inch wide grease hood. So, and these two lights are on. That tells you, other than the fan also being on and you hearing that, that's the easy indicator that this fan is on if you're outside the unit, is by seeing those two lights on, okay? They go off with the fan. So once we know our concession window is open, fan is turned on, next thing we're going to do is just check the knobs on our cooking equipment. Make sure that all of our knobs are in the off position here. As you can see, everything is off there. So now we can exit the unit, go out and turn the gas on. So I'm going to demonstrate on this side over here. So first thing you're going to do is come to your valve here on the tank. You're going to turn it and you're going to open that all the way. All right. So these tanks are empty. The 100-gallon propane tank holds approximately 23 gallons of propane. So you want to make sure that once possession of the unit is taken, you want to have that filled by a licensed professional, certified professional that knows what they're doing. If they overfill the tanks, they could potentially damage your regulator or your valve on the tank. So like I said, approximately 23 gallons of propane, but we're going to open this valve all the way. Once we've done that, right here you can see it says vent right there. We're going to kind of listen right here, make sure we don't hear any propane hissing out from the regulator, make sure we don't smell an abnormal amount of propane coming from the regulator. All right, if we have either of those present, turn the tank back off, contact your local gas company, have them come out and service the unit. More than likely have a bad regulator. All right, but that checks out. We're gonna go on to the next step, which is gonna be to take this valve here, flip it up. So when it's down and this handle is not in line with the gas line here, that tells you that valve is closed. We're gonna flip that up, open the valve. Initially, you're gonna hear an initial whoosh of gas. English is hard sometimes. Once you hear that gas flowing through the line, the initial whoosh, that's all you should hear. You should not hear gas continuously flowing through that line. If you do, turn this back off, go back inside your unit. Make sure you didn't bump one of the valves or one of the knobs on your equipment, accidentally turning it on. Okay, come back out, open this back up. If you still hear gas continuously running through that, close the valve on your tank, contact your local gas company and have them come out and service the unit. One major concern here, these gas lines, we are required to run them underneath the trailer. As you can see, it goes underneath there. Because of that, it does open it up for the potential for road debris during transport, such as rocks, chunks of rubber, wood, things of that sort, to kick up off the road, hit that gas line and potentially damage it. Okay, free-flowing gas in places that we don't need gas running is not a good thing. So if you hear gas continuously running through here, please shut that off, contact your local gas company. All right, however, nothing you don't hear any gas hissing from the vent, don't smell an abnormal amount of gas, you open this valve, you hear the initial whoosh only, nothing continues from that. We're good to go inside and light the equipment up. All right, and we'll go through that now. So when lighting our equipment, pretty simple here. First thing we're going to look at is our Royal 4-burner range with oven. And you can see I have the panel at the bottom open. I'll show you how to close that, open that here in just a second. Sorry for the shoddy camera work. Alright, to light this stuff, all we're going to do is simply come here, take our handy dandy stick lighter, and we're just going to reach right down here, and that'll light that pilot. Okay, so the pilots on these, on the range and on the griddle over here, are what we call open flow pilots, something like that. Yeah. The gas is continuously flowing through there as long as it's turned on. Okay, so there's no regulator, nothing you have to turn on, no manual controls that you have to turn on to be able to light these. All right, so and we're just going to do that at all four. As you can see here, all four are burning. And then I'll demonstrate these for you here. There's the rear burner working, front burner, rear burner on this side, and front burner on this side. Alright, now to light the bottom of the oven, you have to come down here and you're going to push this button in and hold it, usually for about 20-30 seconds. And then while you're holding that button, take your other hand and reach over here and depress your igniter. Okay, just push that in until you hear it click. Continue holding that button in while you check to make sure your pilot is lit. There you can see the pilot lit. Once you see that pilot is lit, slowly depress off that burner. Sorry, hold that button for about another 15 to 20 seconds and then slowly depress off the button. Alright, and now I'll demonstrate the oven working here. You can see the nice blue flames there. The oven works. And that's controlled off of this knob here. So you will push that knob in a little bit and turn to get it to come on. And then you can see how it's lined up there for the off position. Alright, coming on over here we have the Royal 36-inch manual griddle, and that is sitting on top of a 30 by 36 stainless steel equipment stand with galvanized undershelf. So to light this, again, pretty simple here. All we're going to do is take our stick lighter, and if you look right underneath here, you see that gas line there? You're just going to follow it up, put your stick lighter underneath, light that, and you can see our pilot light is lit there. Okay, and then you're going to repeat that on this one, and then over here on this one. Alright, so 3 pilot lights, 3 burners, and then I'll turn this on here, demonstrate this side working. Alright, there's that burner working. Come here, our middle burner, there you can see it working. And then we'll come over here to our burner to the left, and you can see it working there. Alright. And the pilot lights again, will stay lit if this is in the off position. Same thing on the oven, same thing on the range. And then for this on the range at the bottom, simply grabbing the center here, flip that up, and then let it drop down to close it, to open it, raise it up, flip it open. There you go. All right. Let's talk about this grease hood for a second here. So with the grease hood, you can see the filters are in place. A couple of things to note. You want to make sure that this crack in between your filters is as tight as possible. Get that closed up as tight as you can. Once every week at minimum, you'll need to pull these grease filters out and wash them with warm water and soap. Just give them a good cleaning. That way it gets the grease off. You don't have any excess grease built up that could potentially cause a grease fire inside the hood there. Same reason why you want to keep these closed up as tight as possible. Prevents any large amounts of grease from getting in behind the grease filters there and potentially causing a fire in behind the grease hood or inside the grease hood there, and prevents any potential large debris from getting inside there as well. All right. And then right here is where the grease will drain out there, and on the post down at this end here. And you can see the two screws next to that post. I'll show you a little better on this. So that's where your grease cups are going to mount. The grease cups are in the top here, and then there's a box with the nuts to hold the grease cup in place in there at the bottom. All right, so just set your grease cups in place, put the nuts in place, and then you'll need to monitor the grease cups throughout the day, multiple times throughout the day, just to make sure they're not full and going to overflow. As far as cleaning the grease filters, again, minimum once a week. Be something you need to monitor throughout the week. Just really kind of depends on how much grease is being produced. But at very minimum, once a week, you'll need to pull those filters out. To pull the filters out, grab a hold of them, lift them up, tilt the bottom out. Once you've cleared the bottom of the rail here, and then lower the filter down. Really best if you can grab the handles here, as these do have a little bit of a sharp edge on that back side there, so be careful grabbing these filters. All right. If you can use the handles, that would be best. To put it back in place, slot it in at the top, while holding it up, push the bottom in, and then lower it down once you've gotten in behind that front rail there. So pretty simple, not too complicated. We do have the fire suppression system here. So these two nozzles are for the burners on the oven, and then this one here for the griddle. Coming over here, here's the control head for the fire suppression system. There's a gas valve down here in the back. You see it? The extra connections there with that little box standing up on top. So that gas valve, if the fire suppression system discharges, that gas valve will shut off the gas to the trailer, to the appliances, so it eliminates that fuel source for a fire. Okay. And then over here on the wall next to the window, in case of a fire, pull. So you're just going to lift this handle, give it a good firm pull. It'll break this little bar here, and that'll manually discharge the system if you need to manually discharge it. If the fire suppression system does go off, you're probably going to want to exit the trailer at that point and shut the gas off. Okay, that gas valve will shut the gas off to the appliances, but it'd be a good idea to exit the trailer and shut off the tanks as well. All right, part of the fire suppression system here, we do provide an ABC fire extinguisher. It's just a good all-around extinguisher, and then a Class K fire extinguisher as well. So Class K fire extinguishers are required in all 50 states in any commercial kitchen. So we do provide that as part of the fire suppression package here at SLE. All right, let's look at some of the other equipment we have in here. First up here we have a 30 by 36 stainless steel worktop table with galvanized undershelf. Right above that there's a 18-inch by 36-inch, actually that may be a 24-inch. It is a 24-inch by 36-inch wide shelf above that worktop table. Down here in front of the concession window we have an 18 by 48 stainless steel worktop table with galvanized undershelf. Great spot for a POS system, set food down before you hand it out the window, things of that sort. And then over here we have an 48-inch wide under the counter refrigerator with a double door unit, stainless steel worktop on top of it there. It is an Arctic Air refrigerator there, and you see it's a nice warm 34 degrees inside that under counter refrigerator. And then over here we have the 23 cubic foot Arctic Air refrigerator. It is a commercial unit as well. This one you can see is operating at a nice warm 33 degrees. And then right here, this lock here, inside the unit, there's an instruction manual. Inside that is the plastic that the instruction manual is in. There are a set of keys, so you can lock this so that the refrigerator door can't come open while the unit's in transport. And then right now it's taped shut. It comes from the factory taped shut, so there you are. Next to the refrigerator at the back of the unit we have the Cook Right by Atosa 18 pan warming cabinet. Show you that. We'll turn this on right quick just to show you that working. You can see it's at 71 degrees right now. And on this side, so if you get it on hold, or you can proof with it. Alright. And then there's a couple of pans in the bottom there, and you can add water to that to control your moisture levels. 70.8, so you can see it's getting a temperature reading in there as it's starting to warm up. It actually dropped down just a touch there, but it will warm up as we move along. And there it's back up to 71. I'm gonna let that rise just about a little bit there, just so you can see it warming up. It does take a few minutes, but there's plastic around the pan in there, so I don't want to melt that to it. Alright, we'll go ahead and, there you go, 71.2. We'll go ahead and shut that off. Just want to show you that it does work. Alright, right back here by the back door are the light switches for the LED lights. So the first switch is going to be your interior lights, and then these two are for your exterior lights, the one above the back door, and then the two next to on either side of the concession window there. As you can see, the walls are all in white around the unit. And then up in the front here we have the upper shelf and the V-nose. Lower shelf here, 3-bay sink, hand wash station, cabinet doors. And these cabinet doors just look into the V-nose. Alright. And then right over here, this is the on-off switch for the water pump. It's flipped up, it's in the on position. I'll demonstrate this water right quick. There's the hot side, cold side, and then we'll come over here, cold water and hot water, and then we're going to get a temperature reading on this. Real quick, you see it goes up to 132 degrees. still climbing. Just want to demonstrate it will reach 120, as that's what most health departments require in a commercial kitchen. One thing I do want to note is when you first come into the trailer at the beginning of the day, turn on your water after you filled your tank, hot and cold side, let that run for a minute. What you're looking for is this consistent flow of water here, okay? That tells you that your water heater is full. So you've gotten all the air out of the lines. Anywhere that water circulates through the lines, it has a full amount of water pumping through it. Main thing we're looking to do there is tell us that our water heater is full, and at that point it's now safe to plug your water heater in and go ahead and turn the dial to the temperature setting you desire. Big reason for that is if you don't have the water heater full, when you plug it in, you risk burning up that heating element and incurring an extra expense to either replace the heating element or replace the water heater itself. All right, so just want to make that note right quick. And then you can see the cabinets are lined with the aluminum mill, rubber coin flooring throughout the unit. We have 1, 2, 3 LED lights inside the unit, and then right up here we have a roof vent. So to open this vent, you're going to take that knob right there, turn it, that'll open the vent up. It is raining today, so I'm leaving that vent shut. And then to close it, you'll just turn it the opposite direction and that'll close it down. All right. All right. Oh, one last thing. Here in the corner in the top shelf of the V-nose, you can see the fire suppression tank that holds the fire suppressant for the system there. All right, end of the day, hopefully we've sold a lot of food, made a lot of money. We're ready to shut down the gas, so we're going to go over that right quick. Free-flowing pilots is the word I was looking for earlier, not open flow. So the free-flowing pilot lights on the griddle and the range here, those will go out once we've turned off the gas on the outside of the unit. Same with the oven, that is a free-flowing pilot light as well. So we want to come here, just make sure all of our knobs are in the off position again. Once we've done that, then at that point we're going to exit the unit and go out here to our tank. As I stated earlier, these tanks do come empty, so we are running off of our supplied tank here. So the first thing we're going to do is come here, close the valve, and then come over here. We opened our valve all the way, so we're going to close this valve all the way. All right, once we've done that, now we're ready to go back inside the unit and check to make sure all of our gas is turned off. Usually takes a minute for it to burn the gas out of the lines. So as you can see, gas is shut off, but those pilots are still on. So we're going to talk about the rest of the shutdown procedures here while we wait. All right, so for the most part, let's just do this. Here on the back, up here you can see this sign here. This goes over some safety guidelines and procedures for a concession trailer, startup procedures, shutdown procedures, and before transit. Your startup procedures and shutdown procedures are primarily going to be going over your gas. Water pump, make sure that switch is turned off. Make sure your lights, interior and exterior lights are turned off, shut the doors, latch them, lock them for safety, things of that sort. Before transit, you want to make sure you check your lug nuts, tire pressure on every wheel and tire. Make sure your blinkers and brake lights, running lights are all functioning properly. Any hoses, cords, things of that sort are disconnected, stowed away. All your concession windows closed down, things of that sort. All right. So I encourage you to read this and close your roof vent. But I encourage you to read this over good, and it's there for reference in the future if you need it. All right. And the last thing I am going to say too is make sure, as far as shutdown procedures, make sure you, at the end of the day before leaving the trailer for good, make sure you unplug your water heater there inside the Vinos. All right. All right. So we know we've turned off our gas on the outside. Just gonna come here and check. That was off, 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 and off. And check all of our pilot lights underneath here on the griddle. Off, off, and off. And then we're going to check the pilot light down here in the oven. That is off as well. All right. All of our gas is shut down. So now at this point, we've verified our gas is shut down. Now we can come over here, flip our switch there. Grease fan turns off. LED lights on the hood turn off. We're good to go there. All right. That is everything we have to go over for this instructional video on this unit. If you're interested in this unit or one like it, even if you see some things you'd like to change, do a little differently, or any other unit here at SLE, please give us a call. We'd love to speak with you, design the trailer of your dreams, and hopefully get you set up in it. We appreciate your business here at SLE. Thank you. Have a great day.